Everybody, welcome back to another episode of UHS Presents. I'm your host, Sarah, and with me is Lori, and everybody with their mics muted. If you were here yesterday, you know that I pretty much don't have a voice, so I'm just going to let everybody else talk. So, Lori, take it away. You want to have it pre-introduce?
Yeah, so we have a bunch of new people here today, a bunch of guests. If you guys just want to just round table, we can we can start with Matt, and you guys can introduce yourselves and tell us who you are, and then we can tell people why you're here. I don't know, something like that.
That sounds totally fine. So it's me.
Sure.
Going. Okay. So hi everybody. Y'all might, the folks watching might already know me. I'm Matt. I am the character artist and co-creator of Miss Medusa's Monstrous Menagerie on Kickstarter now for Unlikely Heroes. I've also worked on a couple other franchises like Godzilla and Ultraman and Gamera and Power Rangers, and basically everything that I grew up with as a kid that has rubber-suited monsters in it, I am currently trying to assimilate. Anyway, that's me.
And then Steph.
Okay. I'm Steph Cannon. I'm one half of In Symmetry Creations with the other Matt, who is going to introduce himself here in a minute. We are currently running a Kickstarter campaign for Here's Vasildor, the Perilous Prospects Book 2, which is our steampunk time travel series that we will get into as the show progresses. We are part of the quad badass, I can say badass, right? I'm assuming I can say that on this show.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Ladies of Kickstarter, which we'll get into as well later on in the show.
And hello, I'm Charlie Stickney. First of all, I just want to say that was an incredible introduction. The video, you guys did a great job putting that together. So I'm going to try to bring my energy up, for the butts that are in seats and everything. So we can live up to that, right? I mean, I think whatever you guys put together, it's a lot to live up to. So I'm feeling the pressure there, but I'm really excited to be here with all of you. I'm a writer, publisher. I write books like White Ash and Galarian and The Adept. And currently I have the game, which I co-created along with Connor Hughes, that's live on Kickstarter. And I think we're gonna have some fun tonight. So whoever's watching, put those button seats and get excited.
All right, my name is Matt Knowles. I am the other Matt. If he's 1A, I'm A1, whatever it may be on the show tonight. I am the other half of InSim that Steph mentioned earlier. We are comic writers, content creators. Metal music comes from us as well. Steph also does a lot of articles for places like Fangoria and Creepy Kingdom. I do some podcasting for CFB Dynasty. I do panel hosting and moderating at cons. But the reason why we're here is because we are all on the quad campaign promo, where we all have come together to do something really cool with the Kickstarter campaigns we have out there. And I'm sure we'll talk about it here in just a little bit. And yes, Charlie, we're going to make sure we're excited just for you.
To bring up the energy, get your coffee.
I appreciate that, because otherwise I was out of here. So
he was just done. The intro played, and he was like,
It's too much.
I mean, I don't know if it's going to get better from here on out. So.
Oh my goodness.
Thank you, Andrew, so much.
Nice.
Thank you so much.
If you guys can't see it, it said he backed all 4 of the quad Kickstarter promotion. And if you guys don't know what that is, we're going to get into that in a minute. But thank you.
Yeah, Legend Storm Andrew's a good guy, man. We've known him for a while. Good guy right there.
Okay, so I don't know, Sarah, do you have the art piece, the Badass Ladies art piece? Because we can put that up and we can kind of talk about it.
Yeah, hang on. I'm having some computer something, but I'll get it in just a second. Having all kinds of technical issues,
It's fine, it happens. Yeah, so basically, I don't know. I don't even know how this came up, but we decided to do kind of a cross-promotion deal where all 4 of us have campaigns that star kind of badass ladies or have badass ladies in them. And I wanted to showcase them and showcase the campaigns, and then also back or something really cool if they backed all 4, because they should. And we kind of went in together and we decided on an artist, and we had an art print made, and we decided to make it a metal print. So anyone who backs all 4 campaigns gets a free metal print that contains all 4 characters that we will be showing in a second, I think.
It's coming.
I really do love that print. I mean, it's already a great style, and it's always just really odd to me to see, in a good way, to see Gina drawn by a different artist who wasn't me or Paul. It's always like, oh, interesting. It's either me going like, oh, those are interesting choices, or it's like, oh, right, I'm a crappy artist. But I just and it's purely because I'm like, oh, they did something different. Why am I not doing that? Oh God, I'm a fraud. And it's the imposter syndrome cycle. I'm getting better about it.
Well, yeah, when Lori decided that she was going to, she put a post up in one of the chat groups that we're in. Steph and I had already kind of, I don't want to say we decided, but we were kind of in that mopey kind of, maybe we're not going to be able to get a Kickstarter out this year, even though we knew we had to get it out. And when Lori was like, hey, does anybody have a campaign coming out soon? I want to be able to cross promote with you. And as soon as that happened, it was like, okay, that was the catalyst for us to be like, okay, now that's the thing. If Lori's launching on October 18th, then we got to do the same thing. And we kind of put all of our energy into making sure that our campaign was going to launch at the same time. We got out of that mopey mood. We were also really busy. We just did New York Comic Con. We had some other shows. And so we kind of had to fit all of our prep around those shows as well. So thank you to Lori for doing that. And the thing that was interesting was we had no idea that Ryan Cummings or that Charlie were going to be involved either when we had our first conversation. Like, it was, I think Charlie was to us, the oh, by the way, which is a hilarious thing, and the irony, because Charlie's the one that all of our other campaigns put together don't normally equal one Charlie campaign. But I think it was, yeah, Ryan's going to be involved in this. And then a little bit later, it's, oh yeah, Charlie wants to be involved too. And it's like, boom, let's go. That's awesome.
Well, I do think that, first of all, when you look at all of us up here, you can see there's definitely one badass lady, and that is Lori. I mean, she looks terrifying and also amazing right now. But I think I think you're also you're an inspiring figure, and everything that you built with Unlikely Heroes Studios is really impressive. And the fact that you were reaching out, trying to find creators, I mean, that's what drew me to this. And you said, who's going live? Let's find some people to collaborate with. And I said, I want to collaborate to someone who's that committed to their work, to all the energy that you put in. And I love being part. I mean, look at also Matt and Steph. Like they don't go halfway. They go all the way when it comes to everything they do. So I think, not only have you put together a really nice team of creators, you put together a group of people who passionately care about everything they do and understand their brand. And so it's nice to have a print that represents both like the spirit of the indomitable women that are in our campaigns, but also I think of you as a person who's put this together and the force of will that you have to try to make a space in the indie comic community, which is a really hard thing to do. So, I think this is, this whole campaign is a tribute to your force of will. And I look forward to seeing all the things that you do going forward. And we're really excited to be part of it.
I don't even know what to say to that. Thank you.
Yay.
We're putting butts in seats, right? That's what this is about.
Exactly. Yeah.
Did you have any luck finding getting it to work? Okay.
Yeah, there it is.
I'll talk about it a little bit more because Ryan Cummings is missing. He's the creator and writer of Raina, the Bastard Queen, who's featured on the bottom there, and I haven't had a chance to mention him yet, but we'll link his campaign as well. Yeah, if you guys want to talk about your characters real quick and who they are and how they're badass and stuff, that'd be great.
Who wants to go first?
Steph, do you want to talk about Syndrome?
Okay.
I mean,
We're putting you on the spot.
I mean, I can, but I didn't know if you wanted to. I mean, I didn't.
Yeah, that happens all the time with these types of things that we're on here. Syndrome is a character that we are introduced to in oh gosh, Matt, help me out here.
The Crossroads Conundrum
This is your
issue
story.
10.
Help me out. Where do we? Huh?
The Crossroads Conundrum issue 10.
Okay, so when we are introduced to Syndrome, she is not to give too much away for those who are interested in reading the entire story, but she is very much a victim of something very terrible that's going on in her life, and sort of discovers accidentally that she possesses some type of otherworldly powers. Matt and I didn't discuss what we were going to say and what we didn't going to say before we got on this show, so I'm going to let him take it away from here.
No problem.
Because
So
he knows what we can say and not say.
Well, so in the story, there are these portals that keep getting opened by a scientist or by an inventor named Michael Sealdor. And what he doesn't know is that when these portals open, there's an energy that kind of pops through as well. And one time he opens up a portal, and when the energy comes through, it starts to affect people in the area in some different ways. And Syndrome is off on her own doing her own thing, and she's in the midst of some very bad abuse. Very, very, very bad abusive situation, and she decides she wants to get out of this situation at the same time that Michael opens up one of these portals, and the energy that she has to try and get away and the energy from this portal combine in this otherworldly way. You see she has these energetic wings that are behind her. These things show up every once in a while, every so often, and we see her having to now tame this desire to defend herself and not be a victim anymore, but now it's kind of gone overboard, and so she has to kind of rein it back in so she doesn't become a victim of her own over energy in a sense.
Okay.
That's amazing.
I like it.
And Matt, I guess you want to talk about Gina?
I guess it's me now. So Gina is ostensibly our protagonist of Miss Medusa's Monstrous Menagerie, and I originally created the character as part of a promo for a convention called SoonerCon, based out of Oklahoma City, and it was just this thing I just snapped into my head of something about like a Gorgon that also has this ringmaster quality to it, and as far as her character goes, so her whole thing is, I mean, when someone wants to say like that their character is a badass, there's often specific images that come to mind, but with Gina, it really is true because of everything she's been through as a character that we will slowly reveal over the course of the series. But when you're a mythological creature, mythic for short, living in the American South in the 1960s, trying to run a carnival before OSHA exists, that takes a certain kind of person, or Gorgon in this case. And she is a survivor more than anything, really, but, and she's not what I would say a good person, but she has her soft sides, but she also has her ruthlessly capitalist sides. There it is. And it just, that creates a series of very interesting circumstances, especially because our actual main character, our POV character, is Sharon, who's a little badass herself. She comes into the picture, looking for a job, and now she has to work with this Gorgon who, I guess she's in some ways a little bit like Rick Sanchez, like kind of doesn't care in some ways, but then also really cares in other ways. She's just an endlessly complicated character that has been screwed over so much. Her attitude is now, well, I guess I better screw other people over first. So there's a lot to unpack with her, but yeah, she's she is also a Gorgon, which means that, she can do things and very specific things that we won't get into just yet because it's not really about that, but maybe one day it will be. So I think it's the long and the short of it.
There's a lot of layers to unpack here.
Gorgons are like onions.
And Charlie?
Well, first I want to say I like that picture of that badass cat. I saw really briefly in the background. I assume that was yet another badass kitty of Kickstarter. But
Are you talking about my?
Yes, there we go. There is the missing from the print, but there in their hearts is that cat along with that print. But I saw that and I just
I love Lieutenant Mittens.
Lieutenant Mittens, yes. We all love Lieutenant Mittens. But quickly, I would just say, the game is a grounded science fiction book about this young man, Eli Tanner, who on his 30th birthday wakes up and starts seeing this floating score that's tracking everything he does in his life. And, in a sense, that it's that literal game of life where you're being judged for everything that you do, which he doesn't know why that's happening, what's going on. But this brings him into the path of Iris, who is my badass heroine, who, we don't know at first, but you learn fairly quickly that she's a private investigator. And she's the kind of person who's a chameleon. So depending on whatever the situation calls for, that's kind of what she morphs into to, best make people feel comfortable, to make them feel like they're willing to spill their secrets. So, so she is both an intellectual badass, but if, the going gets rough, she knows how to get it going. And so she handles both parts of it, both intellectually and physically. And I love writing characters that have multi-layers. And I think, the attitude of these different women that we see in our different campaigns is just a great empowering sort of, these are force of nature kind of protagonists. And, it's just nice to see them all assembled together and being honored for what they bring to their collective books.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because they're all completely different, really. Like, they all do completely different things. Their attitudes are different, but they're all badass in different ways, and it's super cool. Briefly, because Ryan isn't here, Raina. Damn it, Ryan, and your work schedule. How dare you? Raina is mostly powered by vengeance. Because her tribe was murdered when she was a child, and so she's just full of anger and vengeance. And issue 1 has a lot of murdering going on, but in issue 2 she has to kind of deal with trauma and fear. So there's layers of how you might have to temporarily turn away from vengeance and kind of deal with your own shit. And work on yourself a little. So if you back all 4 of these campaigns, you get this print comic size as a metal print. So this is it's indestructible. You can put it on your wall. It doesn't get dirty or bent or UV damaged. It's just metal. It's forever. So
but you have to back them physically, right?
Yes, sorry, thank you. That's important to to mention. All 4 campaigns at a physical tier, so a shipped tier, the physical issue or anything above that, magnets. Actually, we should probably talk about the kind of cool shit that everyone has on their campaigns, because that's another thing. We all have completely different, really cool rewards. So I guess this time we'll start with Charlie, since we ended with him last time.
Well, in addition to the comic book, because I think at the base level, that's what we're all here to do. We're here to tell stories. So we're telling stories through the comics, and we have variant covers. For me, I like to lean into the theme of the world of whatever I'm building. So this time out, because we are doing the game, I'm actually offering a custom deck of cards that you can have as its own tier, which comes with some PDFs, or you can get it added on to the campaign itself. And all the face cards are characters from the different books that I've done in my White Ash Comics universe. So from White Ash, from Galarian, and from the game. So it's a 54 card deck. And if you scroll down to the bottom, you can see a little bit of that. But Connor Hughes, who's the artist on this book, has done some custom work for it. And it's really nice to work with an artist who's also a graphic designer. And there you go. They're the whoop, just went right by them. You can see the face cards there. But he just has such a nice eye for design. And it's nice with everything that we do to be able to sort of incorporate that into the world that we're building and try to make everything feel like something that's in the real world and incorporate it into our comics as well.
Yeah, these are really cool too. The facial expressions, you really get a feel for the characters, which I love.
Yeah. And that's mostly White Ash characters because we had been doing them as a series for White Ash. So there's going to be another 5 different characters swapped in for a couple of those. And we also have 2 wild cards and 2 jokers. So, kind of thing just to sort of flush out the entire deck.
I really like that. I really like this art style a lot. It's very expressive.
Yeah, he's wonderful to work with. And I think, this, Matt, it's about storytelling. It's about expression. It's about what emotions that you can capture. How do you handle those beats? There's lots of people who can render an image. There's lots of people who can draw like one sexy pose. But for those people to be able to tell a story, that is where comics becomes an art that's not doing pinups. And I think, there are plenty of people who can do great covers but can't do interiors. And I love working with Connor, who's my partner and co-creator on the game and also on White Ash, just because of that's what he brings to the table. And he enhances everything I write. In terms of the way the characters act, the posing. And so for me, that's so important as a writer to find a collaborator like that.
I mean, that's a really good point because I've seen comics that I was really excited for, and then I will pick them up and I'm like, okay, I know this guy is like, this artist is new or is got some chops, but man, if you can't convey what's happening through you're like, there's such an art to getting your eye to flow from page to page, being able to, for your reader to know what's going on, is such an art form in and of itself. And I myself have even struggled. I've struggled with it for a while because I just need to tell myself, pull back, Matt, pull back more. You're all up in characters' grills, and it's because you don't want to do backgrounds. So. Yeah.
Well, I think it helps because, at least on our books, Connor is also the letterer. So he's able to think about, with the letters, where the flow of the words need to go in conjunction with his images. So he's trying to organically compose the page to both fit the word balloons and the art at the same time. And so I also think that helps when you're planning those two things in conjunction with each other to make it easier to tell the story.
Fantastic. Love it.
That's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And Matt and Steph.
So on our campaign, Heirs of Isildur: The Perilous Prospects is apocalyptic sci-fi set in a steampunk world. The original arc, Steph said, was steampunk time travel, and it ended with an apocalyptic event. The Perilous Prospects starts with an apocalyptic event, and we kind of continue on from there. The first arc, everything was basically told from the perspective of Michael Isildur, who is the timekeeper in the town of Shadowshaven, and the way that things interact with him along the story journey. When we get to the Perilous Prospects, he has basically become incapacitated, and now you're seeing the way that everyone around him is interacting, trying to exist and survive after this apocalyptic event has taken place. One of the things about our campaign, starting right off at the video, you'll see that we've got a great videographer named Michael Palma at Palma Productions. We had a great time filming the video. We did a video for the first one, and we had fun with it. And we're like, okay, people are expecting that we're going to have fun with the second one, so we had to plot all the stops and do some really ridiculous things in it just to have fun. So you can see right there that we don't have a problem having fun, but when it's time to get serious, when it comes to the pages in the story, we definitely know how to get serious. One of the things about the campaign, the first book was 48 pages. Everything is perfect bound. I've actually got the set of books from the first campaign right here. So as you see, that's what, if you're not familiar with what perfect bound is, it's just any book that's got a spine on it. So we made sure that all the books in this series are going to be perfect bound. Here, I'll go back. All going to be perfect bound. So that's all the different covers. The first book was 48 pages. This issue is going to be 56. And we cover a lot of ground in the story. There's a lot of great surprises, a lot of great twists, a lot of great swerves. But if we're talking about the items that are available in the campaign, one of the fun things and stuff, if you want to take this part, feel free to let me know. We have leather workers that we work alongside of, and they've done a lot of stuff with us, and they've got some really cool things in this campaign. So Steph, if you want to talk about it, I've actually got the items around me, and I can hold them up as you go through them if you want.
So anybody that knows us and we do our campaigns, we almost always do some sort of leatherworking item with our leatherworkers at GB Leatherworks. And it's kind of become a known thing for us. We dress in steampunk, or at least crazy steampunk at this point. We always have goggles. Their goggles are the only ones that I can wear all day in an 8, 9, 10, 11, sometimes hour show. They're the only ones that I can wear on my head all day long and not either have a headache or feel like I'm going to have a scar in the middle of my forehead from these things being on top of my head. No matter what you see in movies, goggles are not made to be worn all day long unless they're these guys in goggles, because I forget if I have them on my head. So we decided, you know what? Let's offer goggles in the campaign, because we have not had that as an actual item. We've had them make goggles for us, and as Matt just showed, we're having our little 13 o'clock symbol emblazoned into the leather. So they are custom made leather goggles that we are doing with our symbol on there. We are also doing, which I'm very excited about because I've wanted to do this for a while now, we are doing ornaments. It's a set of 3, and Matt is, I think he's got them right there now. We were talking with Harrison and Martin over at GB about, we knew we wanted to do a set of 3, and we knew we were going to do the symbol that you see on the goggles, which is the little sun looking 13 o'clock symbol, and we knew we were going to do the dragon head because we sell dragon head keychains and have for a while, ever since we did our medieval fantasy story Tales from Nocturnia. But for whatever reason, we were stuck on what the third item was going to be. And Harrison video chatted us one day, and he's like, it was a light bulb moment. He's like, why don't we do mini goggles, which are adorable. So it was kind of a no-brainer. Matt and I were like, yes, do those. And he's like, are you guys sure? Because, I can. We're like, nope, that's going to be it. So we have our 3. So we're offering the ornaments as well, as far as the leatherworking items that we have in our campaign this time around.
And the one thing you see there to the left, that's actually Michael's traveler's pouch. One of the things we like to do is be incredibly meta about the leatherworking. So when we did our medieval fantasy series, we actually had full-size dragon masks that people could get, and they actually appear in the story. So so they actually are in there. And so with the pouch, which when we're at shows, it's like a D&D dice bag. I mean, they're actually really roomy inside, but those things, you'll see them in the story, but that's a part of the last campaign, and they were so successful and so well received. We're like, you know what, we want to make sure that they're in this campaign as well. So if people want a pouch to be able to put their goggles in or put their Christmas tree ornaments or holiday ornaments in, they have a pouch to be able to do it in. And one of the things about this that you don't see is there is an option called the eccentric craftsman. So we showed you the brown goggles and the black goggles, but if you say, hey, give me an eccentric craftsman, that is just whatever the whim that the leather workers have at the time. They're like, we got some extra red dragon scale leather around. That's what we're going to make your goggles out of. So like the last campaign, I think we had some stuff that had like green and yellow
they were
pouches.
Cool. It's dealer's choice.
Like dealer's choice, exactly.
Oh, that's awesome.
Fantastic.
That's really fun.
It's one of the things I love. Hi, Toku Society. I know that person.
Thank you, Toku.
Oh, are all the Godzilla nerds showing up? Yeah, check it out. That's one of the things that I like so much about doing campaigns like this is you get to do merch. And just because I remembered I was literally talking to a friend of mine last night who was asking me like, why don't you go pitch your book to image or something, and I'm just like, oh, so I can sit there and have to do all of the promo myself and probably not have any time for any kind of merch and probably never get paid. Yeah, I'll do that. But as opposed to this, where it's like, oh, can we like make whole lines of merchandise like just for our books? Yeah, okay, let's do that.
Yeah. One of the things we've done that Lori is actually a fan of, we do socks, and we've done a set of custom socks, and we actually had a guy last week pick up a pair at one of our shows, and a couple days later he put a post up and tagged Steph, and I was like, dude, these socks are awesome. They're super comfortable. I love these things. I put a picture of his feet, and in the thread, a bunch of other people started putting up pictures of them wearing our socks, and we're like, dude, this is freaking awesome. How many people out there can have a thread and be like, yep, people are just putting pictures of their feet with our socks on them in the thread?
You're gonna have to make a foot OnlyFans for your socks, right?
I was just gonna say, this is starting to sound a little.
There's
it's much more innocent
like,
than it sounds.
the guys from Feet Wiki are just like, oh man, this is a gold mine.
Pictures of feet? Where can I find this post?
But Matt, I do think you hit on something really important there, which is the empowerment that a place like Kickstarter can give you in terms of being able to create what you want and find an audience for it that can support your work and support you as a creator. And I think, that's something, Laura, that you've been doing with Unlikely Hero Studios. Matt and Steph, I know you guys have built a real audience, based on these things that might not necessarily appeal in mass to the direct market, but you can find a real dedicated fan base on Kickstarter that can support your creations in a way that traditional publishing maybe wouldn't do. And, Matt, based on your credits, you've obviously worked with some big publishers before, so the give and take and how unstable traditional publishing can be. And so to be able to build something like this, it's truly special. And I love what you guys are doing, with the book and the merch and the world that you're able to build. And that, how long you do it is all about, you and the audience that you're connecting with.
Charlie,
Yeah.
I think that's a really important point there too. When Steph and I sit down and get ready to do a campaign, we literally have one of our conversations is, okay, we have our bigger backers, our super backers, our ultra backers, and we're like, what are we going to put in this campaign that those people are going to want to go and get? So we feel like we have a responsibility when we put a campaign together. What can we do that they're going to want that is also going to make sense for the campaign and make sense for us financially? And it's always fun because, I can't remember a time, and Steph, correct me if I'm wrong, I can't remember a time when we haven't done something for those people that when we put it out there, they're like, yes, that's so awesome. I can't believe you have this awesome thing in the campaign. Like they validate it almost immediately that we've hit on something that this person that's already got a dragon mask and already got a Michael's Traveler's pouch and already has a foil shirt, that they're like, yes, I'm so glad you now have this extra thing or this cool variant cover, whatever, that can satisfy them, but also satisfy the person that wants to come in and just get one item.
It's a huge part of our planning for a campaign when we start talking about, because we're always talking about the obvious ones like variant covers and prints or anything art related, but we always almost right away say, okay, what kind of cool merchandise are we going to have? Leather, shirts, whatever the case may be. Socks. I think socks are going to be a pretty common thing that we do now because the response to them is really good. But the merch is one of the biggest talking points that we have when we're planning a campaign.
Yeah, it is amazing how specifically. Ooh, nice. Back for the...
Thank you, Andrew.
Nice. Yeah, it's just so funny just how niche you can get with campaigns like this, and how not every Kickstarter is successful, and not every Kickstarter is as well run as the ones we're doing here. No question that it also can be the most stressful, because you've got to deal with like so many different manufacturers now. You have to herd a lot of cats. And it's like, oh, we got this in, but then this factory has delayed because there was a COVID outbreak or something. And now, because we have to do X, Y, and Z. But there was one thing, because I love showing off my nerd crap. there was something that I got that was part of a Kickstarter campaign a few years ago. There was a Kickstarter for an independent kaiju monster movie called Howl from Beyond the Fog that I watched with Lori and Sarah and the Matt's Monster Monday crew. And they literally, this was a part of the Kickstarter. Of course, I'm really tiny on the screen right now. There you go. This was part of the Kickstarter. It was this
That's
beautiful
cool.
action figure of the monster from the movie. And it's got all these little joints and everything to it. I mean, granted, it was expensive as hell. Like, you had to really, you had to get that tier, and you had to pay for it. I think it was in the couple hundred range. But it came out so beautiful, and because there didn't have to be like a billion of them made, you know, they were able to really focus on the quality of it. And I remember every time I show this off, people are like, man, I should have backed it at that tier. I should have gotten it. Are you going to put it back out? It's like, no. But you have any idea how difficult it is? And so it's like, if it's from a creator you trust, if it's from a creator you trust, and from you know, people that you want to support, and you see something, and obviously cost is always a concern, but if it's something that, like, okay, that sounds like it's going to be pretty cool, you probably should go ahead and back it at that tier, because a lot of Kickstarter stuff, you know, sometimes doesn't show up. So it's that much extra, and of course that support goes so much further when you're backing, you know, when you're backing independent creators. So that's the thing.
And on that point too, while we have, if you want to make Matt big again, he has a standee of Gina behind him. That was actually a standee we offered on the first campaign. On this campaign, we're offering a Maurice standee.
Yes.
And they're, you know, 6.5 feet tall or whatever.
Yeah, let me stand up next to her.
Yes.
Yeah, so like that's, my head's right about her shoulder. So
Matt forgot to tell everybody he's only 4'7".
Yeah, I'm actually extremely small. Yeah, but it's just I take it with me to conventions and stuff, and she's a real eye catcher, of course. And you know, a couple times now we've had people who are just like, oh, like, I don't know what this is, but this is clearly like a Gorgon or a Medusa character, but what's all this about? And I'll just be like, and that's my way to be like, oh, it's our creator-owned book, and it's Miss Medusa, and here's the thing, and here's the elevator pitch. And a lot of times we actually wind up selling them. In fact, I think as far as my comics go at different conventions recently, it's either been my Godzilla comics are what sell, or it's the Medusa comics, because it's like this new thing and people think that the premise sounds interesting. So stuff like this is really fun. And yeah, you can, we were talking about it on the Kickstarter when we were talking about it on a Kickstarter when we first launched for the Kickstarter stream for the current campaign, about how eventually we're going to have like 50 plus of those giant standees, and someone's going to get one of each of them. Someone's going to get all of them. And that person's going to be a weirdo. But, I mean, their money still spends the same. So, so we'll take it.
They're gonna have this giant, like, creepy room of them all, like, posed all over the place, and like they've created all these scenes, and I hope
that's
so.
Somebody who's very lonely.
But the thing you said about you know, having to deal with supply chain issues and having to deal with, you know, basically the production side of things, that can be frustrating as a Kickstarter creator. But it's also really frustrating when you're working with a publisher and the publisher is telling you they have those things going on, but you don't know if they really are, if the publisher is using that as an excuse. Like for me, sometimes it's the devil that I'm actually dealing with versus being told secondhand that all this stuff is going on and it's completely out of my control. And I just don't know, you know? And so for me, I love the fact that even when I'm dealing with paper delays or shipping delays, it's me having to deal with that versus me talking to someone who's telling me you have to wait, right? And so it just gives you a little bit more tangible control of being powerless. You get to be powerless as opposed to, you know, waiting for your publisher to make you feel powerless. You can feel powerless directly.
Right.
Yeah, one of the things that Charlie told us right off the back is Charlie was the basically Steph and my mentor when we first wanted to get into Kickstarter. And I look at the conversations we had back in the day, and we'd ask Charlie a question, very basic question, and Charlie would give us like 9 paragraphs of response. He would go, and I mean that in the most polite and complimentary way. Like Charlie was like, okay, I'm going to make sure that these guys get the information that they need. Doesn't matter if they're asking the right question or not. I'm going to make sure they have the information they need to be able to be successful. And making sure you get those things out there, making sure you find a way to mitigate those kind of issues whenever you can is so big. I mean, everybody here, as far as I know, has done a really good job of making sure that their stuff is either on time or early when it's delivered. The only thing we ever had an issue with, again, was one of those things that you just said, Charlie, was, you know, we have a metal music that we do, and we did custom splatter vinyl for the second album. And we were told, and we got the quote, oh, it's going to be 11 to 14 weeks from the time that you place the order. We're like, okay, we'll make sure that we build that into the deliverable date. 11 to 14 weeks turned into 14 to 18, turned into, oh, you're supposed to have it in October. Well, now it's actually going to be January. Oh, now it's actually going to be April. So we were literally just copying and pasting the email from the vendor. We're like, we don't care if we're telling you who our vendor is. There's like 3 vinyl plants in the world. So it's not like we need to keep this secret, but it was like 9 months. We had shipped everything out, and then we had to ship vinyl 9 months after the deliverable date, because that's just the way the market is. But that's the only time we've ever had that issue. So yes, we have to be cognizant of making sure that whatever the vendors are we're working with, we have some kind of tangible understanding with them, so that things don't get out of control when it comes to the shipping.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we had some hiccups with that after the Sundering, which was our book / campaign. The dice production is going to take longer than initially told.
Really?
Yeah, which is fine. You know, as long as we communicate, you just got to communicate and tell people, and like it's not our fault. It's just
Well, it's tough because you like, you know, like Charlie was saying, there's only so much control you have, and as long as and there's a difference between, like, you know, kind of having to shrug and be like, I don't know what's going on. I'm the face of the project, but then, like, it reminds me of I was on a project quite a few years ago, but it was after a Kickstarter, and the what was it? So the project leader was making updates. The problem is that the updates were so they were so granular. Like, you got to kind of give people the broad strokes, because if you get into the granular stuff, people aren't going to understand what you're talking about, and as a result, you're just going to make people frustrated. So there's almost an art to that as well, to communicating with your audiences, because, you know, especially if you're doing, God forbid you do something like a video game and you're trying to explain stuff to people who, you know, explaining the publishing is tough enough without having to explain tech issues. So yeah.
Right. Like comprehensive, but not too comprehensive. Like honest, but not too detailed, because then people are like, what? I just want to know when I'm getting my shit.
Yeah.
What's happening? I guess let's go through Raina a little bit real quick, since Ryan isn't here, of course. He has a whole ton of cool stuff. I don't actually know how many covers, like probably 15 different amazing covers by different artists. I got to have the honor of doing a cosplay cover for him as well, which is really awesome. So back at that tier, so he lets me do another one. And he's also offering some crazy merch at his highest tier. He's actually offering the sword replica, which I actually have one, and it is made out of metal. It's insane. So if you have the money to get a sword replica, this one is fucking awesome. Like it's so cool. But yeah, we can just show off kind of some of his covers because there's a bazillion of them, and
Definitely need to see the cosplay cover, of course.
I would just like to know what you're actually costing in the cosplay cover.
what? There's a sword.
is-
What are you talking about?
Is there a cost in that cover?
Yeah, that's a good point.
There's face paint and body paint. Does that count?
Isn't
Technically,
it there's a lot of shadows there, so I assume in the shadows where we can't see, there's costume, right?
yeah,
Oh, right, totally.
there is a costume. It's just not in frame.
It's-
There it is.
yeah, and that sword that I'm holding, some people have actually asked me if it's fake. It's not. That's the real sword. It's a replica. It weighs like 5 pounds. It's pretty, or 6 pounds. It's hard to hold with one hand. It was a challenging, like out with your wrist like this. It's hard to.
So you would say that you'd have to be a badass lady to be able to hold that sword.
Oh, going circular. There we go, Charlie.
Right.
Boom.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I guess we can show off the rest here. But yeah, there's so many cool covers. There's of course cover collector tiers, all kinds of stuff.
Did you consider doing a cosplay cover for Medusa as well?
We've been talking about it because Sarah did a great Medusa cosplay herself, a Gina cosplay herself for the launch live stream.
Oh, it was
So I'm
amazing.
just like-
It was amazing.
Yeah, it was really fun. And I actually just recently talked to a cosplayer here in Texas who read the comic and was like, so I've done snake women cosplay in the past. I would love to do like a Gina cosplay. So I'm just like, our cup runneth over. I don't know. I think there's lots of options.
Yeah, it's a little more intensive in terms of figuring out how to make it look good with the snakes and the Sarah has a good head start on getting the snakes on her head with the hat, but then you also have to have a snake body from the waist down. So it's a matter of figuring out the best shots and that kind of thing to make it awesome.
The snake body is something that I've been working on for, well, when did we run the last Kickstarter? I had the bright idea. So I've been working on it for months, and it's mostly planning because how the hell do you do that, right? So I'm actually partway there, and I told Matt a little bit, but I'm just like, I want to make it look like a snake, but I also want to make it something that you can actually move around in, so that you could theoretically wear it at a convention or something. But that part, it's a work in progress.
Yeah, and we talked about doing a Ginny, which is the character I'm wearing right now, cosplay cover as well. So we have some plans in the works, I think.
Yeah, cosplay covers are just a really good idea. I like that idea a lot. And I'm even like trying to think of like, because I've got something I'm working on, and I'm like, how can I get cosplay covers? I feel like make characters just so I can have cosplay covers for them.
I mean,
So we're working around that.
why not, right?
If only you knew some amazing models, Matt. I mean,
Well, I mean, it's not just it's also like making stuff, which I also do know. I mean, you know, I've just gotta throw a dart at a wall and see who jumps up. But yeah,
Make a group effort with a bunch of people making different pieces of the costume. That's definitely been a thing that I've done before.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess we can show Medusa for like 30 seconds really quick in case you guys haven't seen it yet.
Yeah. It's just the Medusa campaigns have been really fun. I mean, I honestly, because I'm just ankle deep, more like neck deep in prepping for Tokyo Comic Con, I've kind of been occasionally glancing up to check on the Medusa Kickstarter, and I'm like, whoa! Every time I check it, I feel like it's just jumped up. So that's very gratifying. Yeah, the campaign has been really fun, and like we always have fun merch and stuff. We've got some really great covers this time around. Paul suggested the idea of doing some of our variant covers are homages to different classic publications from about the time period that Miss Medusa is set in. So we've got, like, the first issue had a beautiful cover by Mark Dos Santos that was a tribute to the old, like, kind of pulp novels, like some of the horror adventure novels, like Weasels Rip My Flesh and stuff. And then this, that's one of our covers featuring our Fae characters, including Ginny. And I'm trying to remember all their damn names.
Hellbell,
and Penny, Ginny, Penny, and Hellbell. I think.
Yes.
Yeah, and those characters, we had to have some fun with them in the comic, and I'm trying to remember all the other damn rewards we have aside from our Maurice standee.
Well, there's the sideshow edition. That's the homage.
And for those who don't know what the sideshow edition is for Miss Medusa, the sideshow edition is the one that is a little more explicit. What did we say? Equal opportunity nudity, I think was the idea.
The best kind.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was. I hesitate to use the word troll dick because I don't specifically know if it was a troll, but because it's just so many damn. There is just, and it's mostly played for laughs. Of course, we're just having fun. But it's also like these are all mythical creatures that don't really have the same hangups that humans do. So they're just kind of like whatever. Half of us were born out of our moms boned their dads, and then we were born out of their head or something. I don't know, or we came out of somebody's ear. Like everything's weird with us. So whatever. Yeah. But,
there's no modesty.
Yeah. That is also, of course, the sideshow edition specifically. You can see our little preview images of Jersey, the Jersey Devil, making sure that everybody stays modest.
On the campaign, they're modest. In the book, they are not.
No, that's true. Yeah, we've got our fun little little tickets for our postcards, and really just trying to. There's the Badass Women of Kickstarter promo. Yeah, it's just a really fun campaign, and
where's our hot nuts shirt?
Oh God, yeah, show them the hot nuts. Show them hot nuts. Let me tell you yelled that into a microphone.
Right.
There it is. You just about see it. That's one of our Fae characters, and she sells hot nuts. Nothing weird about it. Don't be weird.
No innuendo at all, right?
Why are you being weird? Why are you? You're the one who need to calm down. Tell me to calm down. Anyway, yeah, we have fun.
And then we also have a new set of magnets. Magnets have kind of been a consistent thing across the Medusa and the Unthinkables campaigns. And we've only been offering them on each campaign, so they're kind of a collector's thing. There's tentative plans in the future to have kind of... every time I talk about this, I forget what it's called. But it was something in the 80s where you like stick magnets on it and like you can play with them and make scenes.
Oh,
like
yeah.
Color forms?
What was that?
Color forms?
Yes.
Like the magnet version of color forms?
Yeah.
Thank you. It's like that, exactly. So we have future
Old enough to have
potential
played with them.
plans. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, future plans to have kind of like scenes like that with all of the magnets we're going to have. So it should be really fun. And like Andrew said earlier, the giant diorama room, if you like that idea, this will be a miniature version of that in case you don't have the space for all of the standees.
Sort of obnoxiously large Sasquatch Sandy,
Right.
which I do love. I may still need it for my my own purposes, not nefarious at all. Totally not just gonna randomly put it in people's rooms. But like. The magnets are also very useful for me because I sometimes have trouble with the scale of characters because we have some characters who are so small and other characters who are like just really huge. And one day, Paul, our writer, and we were kind of going back and forth on scale. And he was like, "No, go get your magnets. Like your magnets are made to scale." And I'm like, "Oh, right. I don't have to sit there and like scroll through the size chart that we made. I can just like line up the magnets, be like, oh, okay. So Gina only, okay. Sharon only, okay. That makes sense."
I think that's been kind of an interesting, for me anyway. I'm not used to having such a height difference in characters. Like Maurice is 8.5 feet tall, and
He's big.
Sharon is 4. So having those two characters in a scene together is it's awkward. You have to figure it out. You have to figure out your camera angles and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I thought I had a handle on it because I'm so used to drawing, kaiju comics and stuff and have to deal with scale a lot in there. But because Sharon like is still kind of has to be the POV character. And there's always moments where I'm just like, it's fine. She's kind of down here and he's up here. That's good enough. But Paul will come at me with just like, "No, Matt, their eye line doesn't line up here." And I'm like, "Okay, but like, who's going to notice?" And he's just like, "I will." And it's like, "All right, fine. I'll fix it."
Right. And it's also a delicate balance of not having her talk to everyone's crotch.
Yes. It's just the poor thing's just got to look up all the time.
Yeah. And real quick, just to finish off, we do offer cameo, a couple of limited cameo tiers. These ones are for issue 3. You guys will see the cameos that we had in issue 2. And they're really fun. And they are 60s appropriate. So whatever you send us, we're going to 60fy you. Is that a word?
I almost thought you were going to say 69 you, and I was just like...
Which is very 60s. So...
There you go. You heard it here first. It's the bonus for the cameo tier. Yeah, and then we have the standee, of course. Maurice with his notebook.
Mm-hmm. One of the first characters I conceptualized for the book. Like Paul made so many of the other characters and figured out everybody's backstory, but I knew from the start, I was like, I want a Sasquatch, and I want him to be the bookkeeper and the secretary. Because I want him to be like this on a little typewriter. Just that was all I cared about. That's all I wanted. Yeah, Paul, sure. Give him a rich inner life. I don't care. Just everything has to be very small while he's holding it.
Oh, I love Maurice.
I love Maurice. Anyway.
Yeah. So I guess we can show off the print again, and we can stop shilling ourselves.
Well, Lori, I have a quick question for you, because I think you've done like 21 campaigns now, right? And which is impressive. Do you find it's difficult going from something like this to something more of the superhero fare? I mean, like, how are you trying to cultivate an audience that appreciates everything you do? I mean, like, what's the brand of Unlikely Heroes, and how do you put all of these different books under this? And I'd like to hear from Matt and Steph on this too, because I know, like everything is kind of under the same universe, but you also have some really different permutations of what you're doing.
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know that we've had a strategy other than like this. So our very first thing that we ever published was Super, which is kind of, a loving satire / homage to superhero books. And that's where we kind of started. So our original fans were superhero fans, I guess we can say. And then we kind of branched out from there and we did The Surgeon, which is completely different. And then we've just kind of been consistently kind of branching out and doing different things and still superheroes. And we're kind of all over the place, but it kind of all works together somehow.
Because I noticed, like, I don't think I saw Medusa or anyone from the Menagerie in your big Unlikely Heroes banner head, right? Is it up there, or did I miss that?
Yeah, Gina's up there. Medusa is up there,
okay.
yes.
Okay. Yeah.
We've been slowly and stealthily adding the characters as the series get added to our roster.
And do you find at conventions that, like, having that kind of breadth of material helps pull people in, or is it over? Like, I'm just trying to think of, like, from a creator standpoint, for creators who are watching this, like, how do you do what you do?
Right. I think it helps. I do. Because there's people who are just really stuck in one genre when they read it, and that's totally fine. And I think we definitely have people who come to tables and they're just super into Miss Medusa, for example, which is very much its own thing. They're very excited about that and they want to buy everything, and they kind of look at superhero comics and they're like, okay. And then other people who only like superhero comics. So I think it's helping us to have kind of that variety. And of course, there's a lot of people who like everything, and they're like, or they started out liking superhero comics and then they read Miss Medusa. And we're like, oh, I actually really like this. It's completely different than what I would usually read, but it's actually really good. And then we have our fans branching out themselves. So I think it's an advantage to have more than one genre or more than one theme that you're covering, just so that people, even if they don't, the words are not working today.
I know that.
Sorry, go ahead.
I thought you were going to formulate. I know that for me, I go to a broad range of conventions. Like, I'll go to the gaming conventions and the comic conventions and the anime conventions, and we literally have something for everybody just about at our table. So everybody comes and stops. They're pulled in by one specific piece of art, and then that's my opportunity to tell them about everything. And then they're like, oh, this all really sounds cool. And they zero in on one title usually. But that definitely, I think having all that variety definitely is a good thing for bringing in more people and getting more people reading our books.
Well, I know for us, we the original catchphrase for Airs was where steampunk comics and metal collide, because we had all three of those different areas we branched out into. And for us, it's interesting looking at, like, a lot of times people that aren't into that specific genre are the people that are going to be the most interested. What I mean by that is like, there was a point in time in 2019 where we sold more metal music albums to senior citizens than to metal fans, because they would come to our tables at, like, a steampunk convention and they really liked us. And they're like, you guys are really cool. I want one of everything. And we're like, you do know that's a melodic metal album over there. Like, I don't care what it is. You guys are cool. We want to support you. But as far as the universe, like you're talking about, Charlie, one of the cool things about Airs is with the portals that are being opened, it's bringing people from other eras and other timelines basically into this steampunk community. So if we want to go and explore what was happening outside of there, that's how we have Tales from Nocturnia, which is medieval fantasy. Having the metal music, which really integrates in. Everything kind of works together, other than our title for Scout, which is Misfits Clubhouse, which is the all ages animated, like Gravity Falls, Wreck-It Ralph, and whatnot, We just have to make sure that when we are at our table, that we have each section kind of segmented off, so that, because we've had some shows where we've sold more Misfits Clubhouse than anything else, which is completely insane because it normally gets about 10% of our area. But we've had some shows where we've sold, tons of Misfits Clubhouse and people wouldn't even touch an Airs book. But as long as people know, hey, look, if you're into this kind of thing, you want to go here. You want to look at our anthology stories here. Here's the metal music that supports it. Here's all the other merch that brings it back in. We find ways to make sure that it's logical at the table, so that way people aren't overwhelmed. Because if you just throw it out there like white noise, I think that's the kind of thing that's going to repel people, because they're like, what is this table? What are you guys even trying to do? So if we segment it so it's easily understandable to them, I feel like that's what works the best. Do you agree with that stuff?
Yeah, I think there's also. Okay, sorry. Go,
yeah,
Steph.
I really don't have anything eloquent to say other than I agree. We're very tired right now.
Well, I think there's also something, what you're talking about is great for conventions. I think when we're doing it on Kickstarter, I do think that you have to remember as a creator that not every project is going to do the same, right? And I think some creators try to measure one project against the other and don't realize that each project has its own barometer for success. And, as you do more and more, you have to realize each, thing has its own fan base, its own franchise. And I can't expect to get Galarian numbers for the game or, or White Ash. Like, everything is its own thing. And what you want to do is you want to build a unique fan base. And of course, you're going to have some crossover because people love you and they love the brand. But you need to set your expectations in the right place and not overshoot with your goal, not overshoot with, what you're trying to do. So I think being aware of how these things interact or don't interact, what kind of fans might cross over, is always a good thing just to be cognizant of as you're going to put your products out there. But I think on Kickstarter, you just need to be very specific in terms of what your expectations are.
I kind of find myself in a unique position because people come to my table 9 times out of 10, it's because they're a fan of my kaiju stuff and my Godzilla work. And so I have this very niche fandom that I've sort of cornered and been part of for a really long time. But they'll come to my table, and especially people who have been coming to my table for a long time or have been fans or followers of mine for a really long time, and they see something new that's also kind of different, oftentimes they sometimes will just kind of bypass it because they're like, it's not the thing they usually see from me, so their eyes kind of glaze over it. But just as often, they'll be like, oh, you did something different and interesting. I like you as a creator, not just as a commodity to be consumed. And I want to support that. So as a result, you kind of were able to funnel people towards something, but that's just my perspective.
Yeah, for sure. I learned this especially again when we ran the Sundering, which was our first. It's a tabletop book. It's a 5th edition D&D book. And we made 55,000, which was like, oh, okay, this is a completely different audience, and there's going to be some crossover between the comics fans and the D&D fans and back again, but it's managing expectations and now that we know that and like I'm kind of thinking about branching more of our comics off and doing tabletop games with them, because I think it might slowly get the tabletop people into more comics and stuff like that. I just thought I would add that.
Not bad for cash flow either.
Right, exactly. Sometimes you have to think about it that way. Like, if a series is doing okay but not insanely well, something like having a tabletop book in there to help fund your other stuff and help boost it up, it can't hurt, right?
Well, I think that's the position you're in when you have something like your company, right? Where you have to look at everything as a holistic goal. It's not just one book. It's the profit margin is all of these things that you're putting together under the umbrella. And sure, there's like royalties and different deals for different creators that you have to figure out. But as as someone who's looking to do independent publishing, I think that people need to always look long term. They need to think about what's the print run. How can I, I'm not looking to maximize my profit for this individual Kickstarter. I'm looking to maximize my profit for the year. I'm looking to figure out how I'm going to build a line that people are going to like in 3 years versus I need to print the exact number of copies to fulfill the backers that I have for X campaign. And I think, if anyone's looking to get into, publishing or looking to get into doing this beyond like a year or just doing the convention circuit, these are things that you should be really thinking about. What's your business model? How do you figure out how you're going to do this long term? And where is your revenue going to come from, and how is that going to help you do the things that you want to do?
The one thing we haven't said tonight, which I think we definitely want to talk about the print that's right there, is that one of the things we said at the beginning is you have to back every one of the campaigns at a physical tier. And each one of these campaigns is running 30 days or less. So you've got one of the campaigns. Is it your guys' campaign that ends, Lori, on the 4th, or do you guys end on the 5th?
Yes, we end on the 4th.
Okay, so you guys end on the 4th. Ryan with Raina ends on the 5th. We end on the 10th. Charlie ends on the 16th. So if you want to get in and make sure you secure yourself the ability to get one of these covers, you can't be like, hey, I want to go back the game. I've got till the 16th. And when I go on the 15th, I can go get, go back into the physical tier and get one of these things. If you didn't go up there and back Miss Medusa on the 4th, or you're out of luck. So if this is something that's interesting to you, you want to go make sure you're hitting these campaigns now, so that way, by the time the last campaign is done, you have yourself at a position to where you can have all those options out there available to you.
Matt, I think you're totally right. And just to make sure, they should do it right now, right? Just to be very careful, every person should go who's watching this, they should make sure they've backed every single campaign at this very second, because who knows what could happen in the future. So we just want to take advantage of the moment.
Absolutely agree. 100%.
Yes. And it doesn't charge you until the campaign's over. It doesn't charge your cards, doesn't pre-authorize your cards, or if you're worried about money, don't worry.
That's the American way. Don't worry about money. Let's just put that on the credit cards. I like that attitude.
Debt later.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Oh my God.
So Lori, what do you have that's upcoming in your campaign? I know you guys have hit some stretch goals. What is the next thing, or what are some of the stretch goals you guys have hit, and what is the goal you're trying to get to right now in your campaign?
Sorry, I was posting campaign links, so
okay, then don't worry about it. We'll come back to you. We'll pause. We'll come back to you, Charlie.
Okay.
I'm sure you know, where is your next stretch goal at? What are you trying to get to right now?
Well, I in terms of where I'm trying to get, obviously with all of this, it's about building fan base. So for me, I don't necessarily look at the dollar amount as much as I look at the backer amounts. And, I have some goals in terms of where I would like to be, which is a little bit higher than we are right now. I'm thankful for every backer, but, you always want to go a little bit further. One of the things I'm going to be doing, and I'll be making an announcement about this on Saturday in an update, is last time around when I did the game, I actually ran a game, which was a bit of a puzzle hunt through Kickstarter backer updates and through other people's projects and campaigns. And I'm going to be looking to launch that again this Saturday. So there will be another round of the game that people who are playing can play when backing the game.
On our campaign, we just crossed a backer goal. We actually set dollar stretch goals and backer count stretch goals because we wanted to make sure on this one that people know that, yes, while we want to get higher funding, we also care about the number of people that are a part of the campaign. We just hit our first backer count goal. And at that one, a lot of campaigns will have PDFs that they give during stretch goals. We want to do something really special on our cover C, which is Keto's manga variant. We have a new creative team, Chess and Gwyn, who did that for us. And they have a manga that they're writing called The Bohemian Trials. And we are the first people that are actually going to be able to do any distribution of their Ashcan. So the backers of our campaign are going to be the first ones that actually get a chance to get a hold of their digital ash can for the Bohemian trial. So we thought that was going to be really cool to be able to give them that spotlight, be able to give them some distribution of that. So anybody that backs our campaign from this point forward is going to be able to get a hold of that. We're all going to be working for them someday. Steph has actually met with them. They're actually from her town in Visalia, California. And these girls are, you know when people have it, and you know when people are going to do something big. And Charlie, I'm sure you remember Seda from Soulstream. They're like, the next coming of Seda. And so we definitely feel like they're going to be doing some good. So we're really happy for them that not only did they get to do a cover for us, but we actually get to distribute them and give something back to them and to the backers that are out there as well.
That's awesome. In terms of us, I'm really excited about how many backers we have. I think we're going to set a backer record on this by the time the campaign's over. I hope.
Hell yeah.
And like Charlie said, a little bit more money would be nice, but I also know that everyone's kind of struggling right now, and I'm just grateful that we have people backing and getting the book and getting the sideshow edition and all of that stuff, and yeah, it's awesome. At 8K we're unlocking the Shelly postcard, the Ninja postcard for all backers, and that should be really cute. And we already unlocked the metal bookmark, so already if you back and you just get one book, you're already getting a metal bookmark, and you're probably getting a postcard. You're probably going to get some other cool shit too. So
we should work at some point we should work the cosplay cover into one of the stretch goals. Thinking 40K, 50K.
you're right.
Really want
It's that much to buy the rest of the crap to make that damn Medusa cosplay.
There you go.
Maybe you ask your fans to do their version of the Medusa cosplay cover, and the person who does it best gets a free something.
Maybe if you get a
Oh, that
40 or
would be
50,000, maybe Charlie will do a homage to Lori's cover of Reina.
Oh, there you go.
Ooh.
I mean, I call that Thursday night, but I am happy. If you guys want to see a little bit about what I'm doing after hours, it's fine. I use a crossbow instead of a big sword, but that's because it just goes off at any time.
Yeah.
Right. So your neighbors are also wondering what the hell you're doing all the time, because mine definitely are.
Oh, for sure. We're on the second floor, so even more so.
Okay, there you go.
So for any of you guys on the Medusa campaign, if somebody's just tuning in right now, they're going to catch the last couple minutes of this stream, and you're like, I really want to make sure that they know about this because this might be the tipping point, the thing that's going to make them want to go look at our campaign. What would you say that it is?
Matt,
Oh,
I'm
me?
gonna make you pitch it.
Yeah. Oh, crap. It's just, excuse me. Actually, you know what? I mean, one thing we didn't really talk about is Paul is doing these amazing sketch covers. I don't know how many spots we still have or have at all, but Paul's doing these beautiful sketch covers. I was unfortunately not able to work them into my schedule this time, maybe for the next campaign. Those are, honestly, that's really fun. And yeah, 50K, I don't know, maybe I'll do a cosplay cover and I'll have less on than the Reina Bastard Queen. I don't know, people like that stuff. What did I say? Equal opportunity nudity? Sure, why not? But no, seriously, Paul's covers, those sketch covers he was doing, those are really fun. So
They're awesome, guys. We got so much awesome stuff. If you don't know anything about Miss Medusa, 1960s carnival in the South, run by mythical creatures.
there you go.
It's drama, horror, workplace comedy. I don't know. It's its own thing, but we try to pitch it.
No, that's, boy, howdy, you got it. You got it.
Yeah.
You got it down right there. That's
I tried to do it as quickly as possible.
What about you, Charlie? What about if somebody was just to jump in right now and you really want to make sure they have one thing that's going to catch them to want to go look at the games campaign?
Well, I mean, like, I have a great trailer, so they can watch the trailer, which kind of gets it all. But I mean, the quick pitch I like to say is: imagine Sam from Quantum Leap jumped into the body of the Highlander, and he had no idea what was going on, and somehow he's now in this game that's been played for over 1,000 years. That's kind of like the vibe for this is about a guy when he turns 30. He starts seeing his score for every action he does in life, and what seems like a cosmic joke is really a matter of grave importance, and you better figure it out quickly. Otherwise, that's it for him and possibly the universe.
One of the things we like to say about Air is it's very much of a character study where we want to make sure people can have characters they can relate to and universes they want to escape into, where they say, what would I do if I was in that situation? Everybody is trying to figure out how to make things right in this apocalyptic situation, but nobody has all the information that they need to try and actually do something about it. So they don't know that they don't have all the information, but they're doing the best that they can to try to remedy the situation. And we've all kind of been through situations like that in our lives. So, that's kind of where we try to look at the story in Heirs of Isildur. It's apocalyptic sci-fi set in a steampunk world. You've got characters from all over. It's not your typical Victorian or Wild West steampunk. It's just there is the setting, but you've got characters from the future, characters from the past, characters from sideways. There's people that are medieval. You have a fictional feudal Japanese samurai that's come through, and having to try to figure out how to interact with these people in a steampunk society it's a fun series. There's a lot of twists and turns, and the stuff that's going to be coming up in this book is completely bonkers. One of the things that's in here that we really want to make sure people know about is not only can you get drawn in as a cameo, you actually can get drawn in and actually have a named character. We actually put you in like, here's your picture with your name, and we actually, treat you like it's a guest star. We've actually had to sometimes tame down our artist because he falls in love with the character. We're like, you can't put that person in there so much. They're like on 8 pages now. So, but it's just the way that it kind of goes. But also, we have a secret project that we have. You can go into the add-ons and you can get drawn in as a cameo into a secret project that we can't really tell anybody what it is right now. It's something Steph and I are going to be working on. But the only opportunity people would have to be able to get into that is to go and pick that add-on tier right now. We've already sold like half of those. So if you want to get into something just because you believe in Steph and I and the way that we actually handle these Draw Me In characters, that's where you want to go.
Oh, that's awesome. Mystery cameo. Who knows?
Excellent. Yay.
Yeah. So I guess that's it. We'll wind down. If you guys want to plug websites or social media or anywhere people can find you at the last second here before we go, and don't forget to back all 4 campaigns. Get your metal print right now. But yeah, one last plug for you guys.
Best place to find me is on Twitter at Charles Stickney. Just follow me there. I'm very responsive.
You can go to /InSim on Facebook. You can go to InSymmetry Creations on Instagram, InSim Creations on Twitter. But right now, we'd rather have everybody just go up to tinyurl.com/AirsTPP2 and follow all the activity through there. That way you're seeing the campaign. Even if you go up and back for $1 and you just become a part of that account, or you become a part of the community there, you be getting our updates. That's where most of our communication is going to be going during a campaign. So go up there, back it, help to get that backer count up so we can get to that next backer level, and we'll go from there.
And I guess if I want to jump in, a lot of people watching probably know who I am, but I'm on Twitter as well. Spankzilla85, and it's an extremely mature name. And we also can we go ahead and plug the next Matt's Monster Movie Monday?
Yeah.
So since November 3rd is Godzilla Day, there will be screenings around the country of for the 20th anniversary, specifically of Godzilla against Mechagodzilla, which is the 2002 Godzilla movie. And we're all going to be watching it in our own way. And then the following Monday, which I believe is November 7th. November 7th, we'll do a Matt's Monster Monday, which is where we will do a little roundtable discussion where I will continue to infect my co-host's brains with kaiju-philia, because which is the most gratifying thing in my life is when I can get someone else into kaiju stuff. So that'll be coming up soon.
That's good. Everybody's
That's good.
all right. We want to. So thank you, Matt and Charlie and Steph for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Love all your guys' work. Love it all. It's all great. Thank you everybody for joining us to watch and comment and like and share. And like I say every time, if you can't back us for whatever reason, this goes for everybody who's got their stuff on here today. If you can't back us, like and share on your social media. It helps. It really does. I promise. We would never lie to you about that. So, with that being said, I think that we will release everyone into the wild for the rest of the evening. And I think we're gonna, just for funsies, because I still have the Medusa trailer up on here, we're gonna close her out by watching the Medusa trailer one more time. And yeah, so thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.